Okay, great. So let's go. First story is good news. And we don't
Yeah.
usually talk about COVID very much, but what's the stories for today?
Yeah, we have the latest news on the pandemic situation in Poland. Poland reports 64 new cases, 0 deaths. The healthcare system is now handling about 313 COVID-19 hospitalization cases.
Yeah, and we haven't really been following the COVID on this channel because it's probably not necessary. But when you hit 0 deaths, I think it's kind of interesting. But it's also more interesting to me that 313 cases of COVID in hospitals only. I'm surprised at that low number. I thought it was higher than that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's low number, but still we couldn't be calm if it comes to the COVID-19 situation because something could happen.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, so we know that the Delta is coming, right? Okay, next story. Let's go to the biotech story.
Medico Pharma Biotech opened new R&D center in Poznań. Projects in the field of cancer therapy and post-COVID rehabilitation will be implemented.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that's interesting about this is that we see more and more R&D companies. We talk about shared services a lot, IT outsourcing a lot, other projects manufacturing, but there are also a lot of R&D factories setting up in Poland, you know, in places like Krakow, in Poznań, Warsaw, Wrocław. A lot of the university centers are getting these R&D centers across different types of sectors. So that's a good news. Another big project for Poznań on the cancer biotech research. So good one for them. Okay, next story from Finland.
Finnish startup Instagrid sells portable batteries to Budimex. Budimex has started cooperation with the German-Finnish startup Instagrid, which produces portable batteries for powering construction equipment. Power banks replace combustion power generators, and their use is aimed at developing emission-free construction technologies.
Yeah, you know, Budimex is one of the biggest construction companies in Poland, and now we're seeing, of course, a bigger embrace among these companies for emissions-free, low, renewable energy, batteries, et cetera. So it's interesting to see that. You know, look at the construction sites; it's always very, very loud. You've got kind of this smoke pouring out of there when they're building things. So the intention here is to reduce the carbon footprint, make it more pleasant for the workers and the environment. So interesting innovation coming out of Finland with these portable batteries for the construction sites. We'll see more of that hitting Poland for sure. Okay, next story, another kind of angle on the renewable energy.
Anvim installing PV panels at Moja fuel stations across Poland. So far, they have been installed at 2 stations, in Różyniec and Sosnowiec, but the company is analyzing the possibility of their installation in 24 more locations, said Anvim's board member, Filip Puchalski.
So more PV panels coming. I'll use this excuse to tell about the Japan event that we're doing September 9th, because we just had a new speaker that signed up last week from SAL Technologies. SAL is out of Wrocław, and they are developing these very, very thin solar PV panels that are being placed on tops of buildings and trucks, very efficient, but they've also been invested in by a Japanese entrepreneur. Interesting, but again, the PV, the solar panel innovation keeps coming. We've seen the cost of solar and wind go below coal, go below other traditional sources of power. So anyway, the future is bright for these type of innovations across the country and obviously across the world. Okay, next story is again another energy story. You start that, please.
The offshore farm project excludes private and foreign investors. The draft ordinance of the Minister of Infrastructure concerning the requirements that must be met by companies investing in offshore wind farms will exclude foreign and private companies from investing in offshore wind energy in Poland, according to watchdog Leviathan Confederation, which suggests a redraft and compromise.
I appreciate Leviathan's push to make this more open, but it's sort of like announcing that the sky is blue. You know, of course, the offshore wind business in Poland is clearly dominated by state-run companies. We've known that for 5 years. That's why it's been waiting for them to catch up. And that's not going to change. That's how it's set up. They're going to keep the cartel-like influence. If you want to be a private company, we're seeing private companies from Denmark, from Germany, from US, parts of Scandinavia, who are attaching to those offshore winds, but only as a sub-partner to the government-owned energy companies. That's not going to change, but thanks for Leviathan for trying. Okay, next story.
Transition Technologies looks at listing on Warsaw Stock Exchange. Transition Technologies, MS, is considering entering the main market of the Warsaw Stock Exchange, said CEO Sebastian Sokołowski. The company also is looking for acquisitions in Poland and abroad.
Yeah, and I've met Transition Technologies quite a few years ago in Łódź. They've grown very, very well, very quickly. Also, they're in Lublin. But this is also another significance is IT companies growing like mad everywhere, getting capital easily, cheaply from the stock exchanges, other investors. And they're beginning to look for acquisitions, and there will be more consolidation in this IT tech soft dev space across Central Europe. There are loads and loads of companies, but there aren't that many dominant brands across the region. And that's one of the problems, which also tells us that there's going to be big consolidation coming in the next few years. And those who get the capital first through the acquisitions force begin to be the winners in the game. So maybe Transition Technologies sees that. So we'll watch to see how that develops. Okay, next one.
Now we are talking about the very famous brand of slippers, Kubota. Because Kubota Code brand raises 2.5 million zlotys before New Connect listing. Kubota, which this year transformed into a joint stock company and launched a clothing collection for the first time, is headed for the Warsaw Stock Exchange. The public offering of the shares will begin on August 10, so today, and the company will be listed on the New Connect market.
So it's not all about high tech. It's not all about software development and R&D. These are
this brand has a long history. I think that dating back to 1994.
Okay, interesting. So this Kubota, classic slippers, flip-flops, whatever you want to call them. But hey, very well known in Poland, raising a small amount, 2.5 million on New Connect. Another good deal for New Connect. They keep getting lots of new offerings via that lightly regulated exchange. So good news for the Warsaw Stock Exchange as well. Another big win for them. Okay, next story, please, Magda.
KBR wins contract by Hyundai Engineering and Técnicas Reunidas for PKN Orlen complex. Under the terms of the contract, KBR will provide technology license, basic engineering design, and proprietary equipment for its leading ethylene technology for PKN Orlen's Olefins Complex 3 project in Płock in Poland. This is Europe's largest petrochemical project in 20 years.
And that's the real story. This is the biggest project in petrochemicals in Europe, last 20 years, big deal, big money in Płock, run by PKN Orlen. And you can see now that a lot of international companies, Spanish, Indian, Korean, Japanese, seeing a big opportunity to supply, to work with PKN Orlen as they build up this very, very huge petrochemical project. Anyway, we'll see how that develops. Płock, of course, is only about 1 hour from Warsaw. Big plant there. Okay, next story, Magda. Last story.
Oh, I think that it's not the last story for today.
Let's go.
EIB lends 325 million zlotys to Nexera to roll out fiber to the home network in rural Poland. Lower population density areas in Poland will gain a better internet connection and access thanks to deployment of very high capacity network broadband services under a project financed by the European Investment Bank.
And look, while that would have been 2 years ago before COVID, sort of rural Poland, a little bit different type of clientele, different audience. Now it's not. I mean, people are moving all over the country, all over the world, of course, to less busy rural neighborhoods. So the internet connection is the key thing. You can't move to a village in Missouri if you're a working person and not have internet connection. So this is a great thing, again, across Poland, see more internet connection, very much needed, and good move, the EIB supporting that. Okay, next move, next story. And this is the last one, right?
This is the last for today. Expanded Terminal B opened at Katowice Airport. Under the reconfiguration, the surface area of the building was increased by 40% from about 12,000 square meters to 17,000 square meters. And the facade of the terminal was moved slightly to the south so that it now connects with Terminal C.
Good to see some airports expanding. Katowice has been very strong on the cargo side. also very strong because of the big manufacturing, automotive, and production bases in southern Poland. So Katowice expanding the airport, good news for the region. I think that must be a continued good sign for the kind of recovery that we're after as well. So good. Done for the day, Magda?
Yeah. I noticed that you have all date for Wrocław volleyball match because you have 17 August. Yeah, we can say that it's on the 31st of August. Yeah,
that's right. 31st August. In fact, we start next week with our SSE directors VIP wine tastings in 4 cities. We kick off in Wrocław and then again in Gdańsk. And the volleyball tournaments are coming after that very quickly. We've got, looks like 400 people coming to the volleyball tournaments. So impressive turnout. And that's it for the day. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you, Tom. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Moja. Bye.